Hi, I'm Shivan Sarna. I'm here with Stephen Wright, who is going to be talking to us today about anxiety and things that we can do that have a phenomenal result very quickly. And I talked to Stephen about this, and I did not believe him until I proved it to myself, because poor Stephen has to deal with me being so cynical all the time. Hi, I'm Shivan Sarna, and this is Stephen Wright. How's that for an intro? And Stephen has created a very small, specific line of supplements that you take both orally, and there's some topical treatments as well. And these are things he couldn't find out in the marketplace, or things that he didn't know even existed. And then he found them like almost by accident, or right place, right time, because that's the way he prepares his life. And as a result, a lot of people are getting really, really great results. That are helping them to get through the day and night much more effectively, calmly, peacefully, and with better health and outlooks and results. Hi, Stephen.
Hey, Shivan. Does that include you?
That does include me.
We can put you on the list finally? All right.
Finally, you can put me on the list. BeSerene and I are friends. I love BeSerene and BeSerene loves me back. Why don't we talk a little bit about anxiety and how this all came to be so people can figure out what the heck I'm talking about. We have a lot of people listening today who really need help. And that's
yeah. This is a very sensitive topic. It's very near and dear to my heart. Hopefully I'm going to give you some tips and tricks that you can do to improve your mental health that are cost effective and free. And then we'll talk about some products you can use that are also extremely supportive. If you are like me and you've had panic attacks or you've had major anxiety episodes or depressive episodes, and you want to out yourself, go ahead and throw that in the chat. So when I was near my sickest, meaning like when my symptoms were the most expressed, I had taken the new job in Chicago. I was walking through the high rises. I came from a small town. This was a very exciting experience for me. It was like my third day of work, and suddenly I could not catch my breath despite being, highly in shape and like 22 or 23 at the time. And I ended up spending like 30 minutes on a park bench, not knowing that I was experiencing my first panic attack. And then I would have, several more in the coming months. And that was also the time in which I was having the most bloating, the most visceral hypersensitivity pain, like knives in my gut. I was alternating between constipation and diarrhea. I had acne. I would have my most major depressive episode starting then for the next few months, in which I was using copious amounts of alcohol to cope and didn't really have any tools. And I'm really glad that I, pulled through all of that. And so I just want to say that this stuff, is runs in my family, and it's been highly tied to my gut health. And so what I would say is that my personal story and the research literature suggests the worse your gut is, the worse your mental health will be. And so if you're experiencing both or one or the other right now, you can pretty much assume the other organ or the other pathology is happening. And don't be surprised that the worse one of them gets, the worse the other one will get. And we should no longer be confused or surprised if someone is having IBD or IBS or extreme gut issues, SIBO, whatever, and then they're also having intense mental health challenges. That's what the research says. That's what many people besides me have experienced and wrote their stories online. And so let's just start with like normalizing that and making it okay. And then also saying that there's a way out of this, and it doesn't have to just be my way. There's many other people that can help you out of this. And so there's a lot of hope around this stuff, because we didn't know in 2009, when this was happening to me, all the research we know now. We did not have the tools we have now. And so I think that's the cool thing, is that we can really bring in support really quickly, including, some stuff we'll talk about this afternoon before you go to bed tonight.
All right. So Stephen, when we're not even just talking about brain, this is beyond brain fog. Yes, brain fog and the gut are directly connected, but this is not, and anxiety, they're different, but brain fog can cause anxiety and all of that. But this is like that next level. Can we just get straight to it and talk about the solutions? Because I think a lot of us can just like appreciate, like, we don't need to describe what anxiety is at this stage. Go ahead. Help us, Stephen.
Yeah. So essentially, and you've had Karan on here talking, you've had a lot of other experts on here talking about this stuff, but if you have dysbiosis, which is, your microbiome is not as diverse as a healthy person, or it doesn't have the same volume of critters in it as a healthy person, and you have dysbiosis if you basically have gut symptoms. So if you have a diagnosis of SIBO or SIFO, or you throw anything in the chat, I don't care if it's microscopic colitis, whatever you throw at me, I'm going to say, yes, you pretty much have dysbiosis, because every time they ask for an autoimmune condition, Parkinson's, anything, and the gut, in these states of ill health, you have dysbiosis. And so if you're experiencing pain, you should assume with 99.8% accuracy, you have dysbiosis. If you have dysbiosis, what that means typically is you're going to have less neurotransmitters being made in the gut. You'll typically have less short chain fatty acids made in the gut. And so then that creates this cycle of worse gut issues and worse mental health conditions. So what we need to talk about today is anything that is going to help overcome dysbiosis and improve the microbiome. And then we're going to need to address the elephant in the room, which is that the conditions associated that I just mentioned, SIFO, SIBO, Candida, parasites, IBS, IBD, anything, they do not just resolve tomorrow or in a month, or, it typically takes you a while to work through the steps of functional and integrative healing. And I don't believe people should just be suffering during those time periods. So dysbiosis did not start right now. It will not go away right now, but there are steps that we can do immediately. And some of those steps are sunlight, getting outside the first 10 minutes of the day with no glasses, no sunglasses, no contact lens. It does not have to be sunny out. You don't need sun in your eyes. You just need to be outside, because when you're outside, when you first wake up in the morning, the luminosity, the volume of light outside is like 10 to 1,000x what's inside, no matter how good your lighting systems are. And syncing that total volume of light to your brain after you wake up, and then doing that, if you can, again, before you go to bed, but in the morning is the most important part. It basically is like a way to sync your clock. And this clock is associated with less dysbiosis. It's your circadian rhythm. And it's associated with less dysbiosis and better mental health, better gut health, better everything health. And so if you can make that small step, I know that some people live in a really temperate climate in the South, and it's easy to go outside every day. Other people live in the North, and you got to pay a little bit of a cold price to go out there, but it's free. The only thing that it costs you is a little challenge and pain sometimes when it's cold out or rainy or whatever. But that step in and of itself, syncing your circadian rhythm, will help your sleep. It will help your microbiome, and it will hopefully help your mental health pretty quickly.
It is remarkable about how fast you can feel a difference with that, for sure. For sure. I really want to talk about BeSerene. I want to kind of leapfrog ahead because it's so important. Tell me that. So it's a cream.
Yep.
And, I put on Lubriderm lotion. I don't get a result. All right. Like, this is it. Mine's actually in my suitcase still. I haven't had a chance to unpack. And what does it do?
So when you're in these states of dysbiosis, you are probably almost guaranteed not to make the right numbers of neurotransmitters, including GABA, sometimes serotonin, dopamine, these types of things. And if you look at associated conditions with gut health, GABA is the one that we're probably all could use a little bit more. So whether you're anxious, whether you're stressed, whether you're trying to recover, GABA is one of the main neurotransmitters that is like soothing. It's like a weighted blanket for your whole body, for your nervous system. And we know that if your nervous system or your vagal tone, your HRV is another way to look at vagal tone, the higher that is, the better your gut health, no matter what's going on in your body, whether you have a parasite or not. And
Can you define HRV before you move on?
Yeah, heart rate variability. So it's basically how irregular does your heart beat? And that sounds bad, but it's actually good. The more irregular your heart is just handling life, actually, the healthier it is. And so if you have an Oura ring or a Whoop band, or they have other ways you can measure HRV, the higher the number, typically the better. And the lower the number, typically the more you're in sympathetic dominance, which is basically you're stressed all the time, even if you don't perceive your life to feel like stress, you are. And associated with those conditions is low GABA. Now, the problem with taking oral supplements, in my opinion and my experience, and studies show this as well, is that many of them are not absorbed very well. And the question is it because the microbiome and the bugs down there are eating all the chemicals, or is it just not being, can it not just get through the gut lining and into the body? We don't really know these answers yet. But GABA is one that I identified a long time ago. I was like, dude, I meet this. Like if you Google low GABA symptoms, I meet like 50% or more of them all the time. But I would take all kinds of GABA orally at dosages that are very inappropriate, and I wouldn't feel very much. And it was very frustrating to me until I met, I'd known a colleague, Dr. Morgan Camp, for a really long time, and they had figured out this herb Malungu, and then they figured out a
say
topical.
It slowly, honey, because it sounds like you just had a glitch in the Zoom.
He had found this herb called Malungu, Mulungu, Malungu, out of Brazil. And he was using it for his social anxiety. He went down to the rainforest and he was like, shamans, give me the ayahuasca, give me the whatever I need to drink to deal with my traumas, deal with my anxiety, so I can, go into Whole Foods and not be super anxious. And they said, okay, we've feel you, and no, you should be just drinking Malungu tea, not a psychoactive medicinal plant. And so they gave him Malungu for a week, and then it totally worked for his anxiety, for his insomnia. And when he came back to the States, he wanted to get access to it, but there wasn't really any companies that had like access to it in the West. And so he worked to build a pipeline to get access to the Malungu, to build a formula with some other herbologists that became the BeSerene product line. And then it just so happens, as I mentioned, I have a decent history with mental health issues, and he reached out to me. So I helped him for a while. And then at some point in time, he decided he wanted to go back to private practice and not be a product company. And so we worked out a deal to take on the BeSerene product lineup and continue to improve it and make it stronger and better. So that's how we got here.
Okay, so it has Marungu in it. Can you hold it up and show us what it is and how it works and how much do you use of it?
So this is a topical BeSerene. I guess my camera's not focusing very well, but this is a topical. So this is designed to bypass the gut and act very efficiently and quickly. So that's why it worked for me. This is what I used to get through the pandemic. Without this, I don't know what would have happened to me. I was almost bathing in it for a little while there in February and March. So it has GABA, L-Theanine, which are normal products you'd find in an anti-anxiety formula. Yeah. It's just topically delivered. And then it has Malungu, California poppy, and albizia. Almost forgot albizia, the happy tree. And so the two products work hand in hand, but the BeSerene IR is the one I think, Shivan, you love. It's the one I actually use, or I fell in love with as well. I almost use more of the daily now, but it's probably because my stress is a little bit more under control. But the topical is really designed for those moments when you can't regulate yourself. And that is, before bed, you close your eyes, your mind is popping off. You got this idea, that idea, Ukraine, nuclear war, presidential election, whatever it is, my kids' school, it maybe you wake up in the middle of the night. Maybe it's a hot flash, can't get back to bed. Your mind's thinking about your to-do list. That's an inability to self-soothe. That's an inability to regulate your nervous system. And so this could happen before social settings. And so that's where the BeSerene IR comes in, is you can do a pump to 4 pumps. You just kind of do it on your wrist, you rub it in. If you want even extra boost, put it back here on your vagal nerve, so behind your ears. Some people will put it on their temples, but I actually find it's more effective to get it on your vagal nerve, behind the ear.
I put it behind my ears on each side. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no like maximum dose. Like I don't know of anybody that's used more than me. You'll just get to a point where you actually can't absorb anymore. on your skin, you'll
Okay.
you'll kind of wake up with a film. But most people are using two pumps to three pumps. If you're like me and you're a little thick in your nervous system's capacity to regulate, you might use four a few times a night if it's that bad. It's not a pharmaceutical, so while it is highly effective, if you're like, this is not like Ambien, yeah, it's not like Ambien. It doesn't work like that. It's not that powerful. Otherwise, it would be a drug.
Right.
But at the 3 to 4 squirts, it could be extremely helpful. And the reason we believe is that we're essentially bypassing the microbiome, we're bypassing the gut, we're bypassing your stomach acid, and we're just going straight through the skin into the bloodstream. And that's why the effects are so different than if you had taken these products orally.
Okay. So, and then what's BeSerene Daily? I'm trying to find that.
It's right there. It's those blue boxes.
Oh, this is BeSerene Daily. Okay,
Yeah,
got
the
it.
blue boxes. So the daily is a much higher dose of the mulungu, but it's oral capsules. It's Sephardi root, holy basil, Shishandra, and Romania. And all of those 5 herbs are parasympathetic toners. So if you look at an adrenal product, like a high cortisol product, like something that would lower your cortisol, something that would support your stress levels, BeSerene Daily is our version of that. And our version does not include ashwagandha. It does not include rhodiola. It does not include some of the plants that, while those plants are nice plants and they have really good properties, they can be stimulating for some folks. They can be not tolerated by some folks with certain gut related issues. All of these herbs are designed to be super parasympathetic dominant, meaning we're trying to drive you into parasympathetic mode experience, and we're not trying to balance your nervous system. We're not trying to support the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. We're trying to strengthen your parasympathetic or get you into it if you can't figure out how to get into it yourself. And so I take it with dinner. Some people start at lunch. They take 1 or 2 pills at lunch and 1 or 2 pills at dinner. I take 3 at dinner. And that's kind of my nightly routine. Most people only need 2, but if you're a little thick, if you're a little resistant like I am, you might need a little bit more. Again, the goal is to try a different way of dealing with our nervous system imbalances. And that is meaning you can exercise more, and that will help you with your microbiome dysbiosis. It'll help raise your butyrate. You can get out in the sun. You can try different diets. But that stuff is not going to change overnight. It does start the process, but it doesn't resolve. And so most of us need tools, just like we have Tylenol and Aleve and Advil in our toolboxes that we know to reach for. Most of us need tools when we cannot self-soothe, or we can't cope, or we're going through a hard time, that are not going to hurt us. And there's a lot of options from the pharmaceutical world that are very heavy-handed, and they save lives every day, but they can be very heavy-handed, and they have a lot of side effects if used in the long run. And so if we can use some of these herbs, some of these other ways to deal with stress, life, whatever it is that's happening, just could be the healing of your gut and the going through of something, that we're finding is a significantly faster way to overcome these sorts of issues.
Excellent. Excellent. So I love that you're not adding stuff just for the sake of adding stuff. Like, you're very conscientious about what these types of formulas, just like with the designing of a home, or, putting on makeup or whatever. What you don't do is just as important as what you do. So I love that you could have thrown the kitchen sink in there, but you didn't. So I'm really glad about that. Let's go. Are you ready for some questions, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. How to balance neurotransmitters with COMT plus have serious gut issues which aren't getting better. Unfortunately, HLA multi-susceptible halotype, I don't know what that word is, also, and have always lived in mold. So gut issues are probably related since I've had them for 71 years. Yes, that would be true, Sue. I'm so sorry you're dealing with mold for a lifetime. That's a nightmare. Well, one of the first things you need to do is to deal with the mold. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. Yeah, getting out of the mold is going to be a huge one too. It's a great question. I think maybe this will be annoying to hear. Maybe it'll be freedom. I hope it's, well, I don't really care what it is, but this is what I have to say about it. I went deep down the genetics rabbit hole and the epigenetics rabbit hole around comp and what are the other fun ones that everybody has? MTHFR and all the different ones. And what I found is that the understanding of the test results and then the ability to execute treatment plans off those test results is like decades behind where we are with gut health. And in gut health, we're still kind of rudimentary, like
Yeah.
really like stool testing and stuff like that. Still kind of, it's still not where we need it to be, as far as repeatability and application and what do we do about it. The epigenetic and genetic stuff is even farther behind, like significantly farther. And so, um, I don't see anything. I wouldn't do anything different based on your genetics, basically. I would get out of mold. I would try to take some binders before bed in case you are having some mycotoxin release on a daily basis. If those binders cause you to constipate, then I would take extra magnesium or extra vitamin C. And if you're having anxiety and stress around solving this mold issue, these gut issues, then I would bring in support products. And BeSerene IR, BeSerene Daily are support products, but they're not the only ones. There's other support products out there that you could try. Your response to a product will tell you if your neurotransmitters are balancing. I can spout off research, I can spout off dosages, but this is such a complex issue that you're going to have to test products at different dosages and you'll know quickly, oh, if I take 5-HTP, I'm worse. That's weird. I thought I should have taken it. That happens all the time. If I take, dopamine, L-Dopa or something like that, I should feel better, but I don't. That's weird. And so you just need to try some products. BeSerene, if it sounds like a good fit to you, give it a shot. And you'll know if you're getting more balance or not.
Okay. I did have to just delete one comment. We can't just like do treat mold with. That's a bigger conversation and none of this is medical advice. So I just need to be very careful. Do you ship to Canada? Yes, you do. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Guys, we do have 15% off for you on the bundle and free shipping in the US on orders over $125, thanks to Stephen and his generous discount for us. So check that all out on the website. The link is there in the chat. So across multiple gut nervous system dysfunctions, how do I untangle and prioritize? And doesn't even matter which came first. After 20 years battling severe delusional OCD, now I'm autistic with chronic Lyme, Babesia, and likely primary immune deficiency that may require, I don't know what IVIG is.
Well, again, so like remember, my background's electrical engineering, complex system theory, mathematics, statistics. I love it when everything lines up. I love it when you can just do a root cause analysis and you can lay everything out on a timeline, even if it's super complex and there's arrows going all over the place. You just see my notes. I geek out on that stuff. And what I've learned over the last 15 years is that oftentimes you end up with a diagram that you're like, cool, this is how everything's related, but what is the actions I can take off of this? And it's almost more confusing than if you hadn't done all the analysis in the first place. And so in a case that's really complex like this, again, I would say anything you can do moving towards wholeness, meaning anything you can do that would soothe your nervous system, that strengthens it without causing repercussions or negative feedback to the rest of your issues. So I don't always love like just going after Lyme with intense antibiotics because there's repercussions to that. There are things like going out in the sunshine in the morning, gardening, being out in the dirt, exercise 10,000 steps a day minimum or more for these are things that everybody can do and they'll make every condition better. And then things like BeSerene IR or other products that you can bring in that are just supportive no matter what the root cause is as you start to work through these issues.
Please put your questions in the Q&A box. I'm working through them there. Kelly, in the 10 minutes outside before bed meant to capture darkness for sleep or pre-absorb the light for the next day, is the 10, do you see that question? I live in the suburbs, so going out at night, I'm surrounded by streetlights.
No, it's meant to, Kelly, it's meant to capture either the light before sunrise or sunrise light. And if you're on a shifted time schedule, just try to spend 30 minutes outside at some point during the day. There is a clock, I think it's called the SCN. I can't say it for you. That essentially captures timing of light exposure and total light exposure throughout the day. And then that is what regulates a large percentage of our circadian rhythms. And then those circadian rhythms affect literally everything in our body. And so there's been hyper focus in the last 10 years around blue light and blue light in the bedroom and street lamps outside and dark neighborhoods and things like that. And that was a good phase we went through, but I really encourage people not to get freaked out if they're exposed to some light after dark, if they are exposed to some street lamps. Instead, focus on what you can control, which is the total amount of luminosity or total amount of light exposure you can get through unfiltered eyes. And that is going to be, I think, potentially more beneficial to focus on than trying to eliminate every specific type of negative light.
Is there any side effects for the cream so people feel groggy in the morning? I have histamine intolerance and I'm super sensitive right now.
If you're histamine intolerant and you're having mast cell activation, you can't tolerate any products right now, then you might need to work on some just regular nervous system stuff. If you can tolerate some products, the majority of our folks have histamine issues. And so I would say it's a good test. And then we have like specific, go slow, go low, do sprinkles of the daily, do a quarter pump of the BeSerene IR, work your way into it. No one could know if you're going to feel drowsy. And maybe feeling drowsy is what you need for a few days as you sleep. I don't know.
Can adolescents take it?
So it's a great question. I didn't cover that. So the number one people that cannot take these products are anyone on prescription lithium. So no, there may be an interaction in the products between people on prescription lithium, not lithium orotate, which is a supplement. They're not related as far as the interactions go. So as far as adolescents, yes. We do have people using them, especially folks on the ASD spectrum with kids who are having a hard time soothing. Please check with your pediatricians, check with your doctors. Be an adult. We have not tested this in kids, and it's not meant to sort of treat anything.
Does it have to be the first 10 minutes when you wake up that you get your sunshine, or can you do your morning routine for an hour and a half and then step outside?
I mean, it doesn't have to be right away, but the science suggests the sooner the better. So if you can fit it into your morning routine, great. If you're just not willing to, then just get outside at some point.
What if GABA doesn't seem to work? Tryptophan also doesn't seem to help. I do get great results with 5-HTP. Does that point to anything?
Well, GABA through the skin is completely different than GABA through the gut. So it doesn't matter if it's sublingual. It doesn't matter if it's nano GABA or whatever kind of GABA you're talking about. Our cream GABA versus anything you put in your mouth is not the same. That's why I even want to carry this product lineup as it works so much differently. As far as why would 5-HTP work more than tryptophan? I tend to think it actually does. I like 5-HTP more than tryptophan almost every single time. There's a conversion step there from tryptophan to 5-HTP, and many of us might just have an issue. Maybe that is a genetic issue, but again, I don't know the test for it. I don't think anybody does, and I don't think it's universal. So I would just follow along with what works for you. And it sounds like serotonin support with the 5-HTP is helpful. And then I would just challenge you to try some topical GABA. I think it'll be different. We'll give you your money back if it's not.
Right. Can I take your products if I have an ulcer that has been healed?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
40 years dealing with anxiety disorders and 20 years with gut issues, including diverticulitis and IBS. I've been put on many anti-anxiety meds and nothing really helped. Presently on
propranolol.
Thank you. For anxiety and heart palpitations. Would this product work for an anxiety disorder?
It's supportive. And it can work alongside propranolol. So again, it is supportive. I guess everybody knows this, but maybe they don't know this. Mental health conditions are complex, just like gut conditions. There's a gut component to them. There is a nervous system component. There's a neurotransmitter component. Those are not the same. There's a biological, trauma, emotional component to them. There's a patterns component. There's an environmental component. So, BeSerene Daily and BeSerene IR were designed for people with racing thoughts, any sort of anxiety related issues. But they are part of a holistic treatment plan. And again, I cannot guarantee success for these products. I don't know your dosage, but I can give you your money back if it doesn't work. And I can give you free health coaching with our team to try to figure that out.
And be sure to talk to your doctor. If you're on some heavy duty medication, talk to them before you add anything. I have autism and ulcerative colitis. I don't leave my house because of social anxiety. I'm so sorry. What products would you suggest? I'm on a limited income. That is a lot.
Yeah. I would suggest the following. Get 10,000 steps a day inside. If you can, open your window, stick your head out so the sun's not going through the glass, at least 30 minutes a day. I would suggest going on YouTube and doing some free meditations about feeling safe in this world and that everything is okay no matter what. Those are all free things you can do right from the inside your house and are almost musts. They're in the same category of impact as something like BeSerene IR. If you are looking for that extra layer of comfort to try to exit the house or try to implement some strategies, I think it's a worthy test. But again, this is not a product that fixes these types of conditions. It's supportive along the way of correcting them.
I took a rest and restore product at night by a certain doctor, and it was magnesium, L-Theanine, and pharma-GABA. Was hoping for more restful night, but I felt like I was coming out of my skin all night. So bad that I never took it again. Have you ever heard of a person that had the excitability type of a reaction to GABA? Also, I have SIBO and emo and have issues with anxiety that I try to control myself with breath. Are you treating your SIBO emo? Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah. So the excitatory experience to GABA is you're not rare. I mean, I guess it's the most minor experience people have to GABA products. It happens just like some people have L-glutamine, which is universally considered extraordinarily safe and extraordinarily good for the gut. Some people experience excitatory symptoms to L-glutamine. The problem we don't know is we don't know if that means you're super low in GABA or you're super high in GABA. We don't really know. Or it could have been the form in which you took it. And so I would probably not use that form, pharma-GABA, and I probably wouldn't use that product because there's multiple things in there. You could try topical GABA. We don't seem to get those types of complaints. And I know exactly the ones you're talking about because I've had them with other products and we've tried to test other products inside the company. So you could try our product. And again, if not, then I'd be looking at something like BeSerene Daily, which does not include GABA. And it's a way to work on your nervous system without touching GABA per se. And once again, I don't know if it's because you're super low or super high. But for instance, it's really common for people. It's not really common. A certain percentage of people take melatonin and they're like, oh, can't take that stuff. It makes me so groggy. My hypothesis is that means you're the lowest, not that you don't need it. It's actually you're so low that just a little bit of it is triggering so many body processes to kick off, and that you should potentially look at trying to dose through that with some support in some ways. And so the GABA thing could be that way, but I can't guarantee that.
Just joining, but wondering the best form of GABA / enhanced absorbency, L hyphen ? Is the kind, what kind is in BeSerene?
So we just have standard GABA inside BeSerene because we don't need to modify it. So so you have the GABA structure, and then you have the known issue that just GABA itself is destroyed by stomach acid. It's not very well absorbed to the gut. So what companies have done and what scientists have done, and all good faith and good ideas, have tried to modify the compound and enhance its ability to be absorbed. So sometimes they'll attach fat to it. Sometimes they'll change the structure of it. A pharma-GABA is slightly changed. It could become liposomal, it can become nano, it can become a lot of different things. All of those goals are to try to get it through your gut lining. I tried those. They didn't work for me. And when I started talking to other practitioners, I found the same universal feedback, which is that it doesn't seem to work for a lot of people with gut issues, which is why we're doing the topical delivery. We don't need to modify the compound at all. We're just skipping the entire digestion process and saying, we don't know what happens down there, but something goes wrong. And so let's try this other delivery route.
So this person is saying about trying BeSerene. I want to just preface it because some of your language makes me feel like you think I'm trying to convince you of anything, and I am not. Stephen and I are not interested in trying to convince anybody of anything. If you are interested in trying it because it calls your name and you feel inspired by it, and this is like, oh, great, I didn't know about this before, it could be a fit for me, and I'm willing to try it with an open heart, then you should. But if you are coming at it with a certain exhaustion and cynicism and discouragement that nothing is ever going to help you, or it's a possible scam, please don't. So that's just my response there. I know, believe me, I do this work because I've spent over, I don't want to say the tens of thousands of dollars I have also personally spent trying to find solutions. So that's why I'm really careful about the people that I bring on here, because they are trustworthy and I have vetted them and I've known them for years. Sometimes I bring on someone new and I'm excited. I've been very lucky in that I'm not disappointed with anybody that I brought on or their products. So that's just some of your language. You may not have meant anything by it. So I could be sensitive to that too, because I am so careful. So that's what I have to say. He does have a return policy that is extraordinary, which is, go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, so we have a 60-day return policy. We do keep a shipping and restocking fee. I think it's $12.49, but the rest is refunded. And normally, if you're working with my team, taking advantage of the free health coaching, which is basically just, hey, tell us about how you're using the product. Hey, maybe you want to use half that much, maybe you want to use double that much. That's really what the health coaching is there for. They can extend that. They have discretion to extend that guarantee with you. The other thing is the restocking fee and the shipping fee.
What's the restocking fee? How much is that?
Yeah, it's at 12. I think it's $12.95 or $12.45, something like that.
Okay. Now keep in mind, my husband was just in the hospital this weekend with long COVID. Potentially, he had a cardiac event. I have COVID right now. I'm recovering, pulling out of it, and so I'm with you 100%, my friends. I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, I think what the message, like, don't try like you said, don't try BeSerene if you're not ready to try. I gave Shivan these products like two.
Look, he's turning red, you guys. He's so frustrated.
2 stinking years ago, I gave these products Shivan, and then like multiple shows later, I'd be like, please, I know you haven't, just try it.
Shivan, you're so stubborn.
And she finally tried them, and I think it's gone well.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has gone very, very well. And now I don't panic when I don't have it, but I get a little like, where's the cat? Where's my BeSerene? Like I get a little, like my proprioception of my stuff. I'm like, hey, where is that? Like I like having a bottle downstairs and upstairs. And then if I wake up in the middle of the night, I like go to the other bathroom to brush my teeth or not make noise so David doesn't wake up. So I like to have a bottle in there too. This is how we're.
My only point being is that I'm committed to building products that work.
Yes.
And I can't make them work for everybody, but I try for 97%. And we do have that money back policy. We do have the free health coaching. They are powerful products. They do work when other products have not. And what I will say is I misunderstood for most of my career how important vagal tone in the nervous system is to healing your gut. In fact, if your doctor's not talking to you about that, you find someone who will talk to you about it, because they are 1000% linked to your SIBO recovery, to your IMO recovery, to your methane recovery, whatever you're labeled as, whatever your tests show. If it's related to your gut, it's related to your nervous system. And that is a Pandora's box of things. It includes vagal toning exercises and vagal toning machines, and it includes therapy, and it includes psychosomatic work, and it includes all kinds of things that can be in that box. And let me tell you, that box is deep and it's important, but going through that box with like a bleeding artery, like a known infection, is, I don't think, very smart. And so the BeSerene product, our lineup, is there to support you when life becomes hard, when your thoughts won't turn off, when you're worried about the stress of your protocol, or if it's working or it's not. That's what the products are there for, to bridge that gap of healing. And then afterwards, I hope you have a bottle in your medicine cabinet you barely touch, but it's there for those 2 weeks a year, whether it's the holidays or the kids go back to school or something happens with your husband, like Shivan happened. That's what they're there for. And so I hope people get that, they grasp it, whether you try BeSerene or not. That's the goal. And I think that's what they're there for.
Remember when Sleepy Time tea from Celestial Seasonings first came out, and you're like, I will have that, like all it is chamomile tea, but that is like the genius of that marketing. And for any of you who's into yoga, I don't know if you know who Rodney Yee is. He's this beautiful yoga dude. And when I had a yoga studio, I studied with him a little bit, tiny bit. And I was talking to him about, I had a yoga TV show at the time. I was thinking about doing yoga videos, and the company Gaia, back then, so in the 90s, had a video, and it was called Yoga for Beginners. I'll explain where I'm going with all this. And if you ever watched that video, it was so hard. It was absolutely not yoga for beginners. It probably turned off more people from yoga than it helped. Seriously, it really pissed me off, because my whole thing was like getting as many people into yoga as possible. So I've been on these campaigns to help people like since a long time. Anyway, so Rodney says to me, well, I was like, dude, that yoga video is not, this is a long time, Karen. I mean, yeah, it's a wonderful company. I don't know them, but I like their products too. But back then he was like, oh yeah, the whole company is being funded by that one video. Where am I going with this? That's all marketing, right? Sleepy Time tea is chamomile tea. That video was marketing. This is real. Okay. This has like studies behind it. This has Steven working his butt off. This isn't just like slap a label at CVS on the counter. It goes and like, be serene, be calm. That's not what this is. This has science behind it. I will stop ranting. I realize that was a rant, but that's the point, is that it's not bullpucky. It's actually like scientifically shown to help many people. And to Stephen's point, it helps people in a lot of ways when other things have failed. And that's the whole point. My whole mission, and I've been thinking a lot about it because I was at the Microbiome Labs conference in Monterey, got sick while I was there, but it was an amazing conference. Saw Kieran Krishnan. It was so much fun. And a lot of people who have been impacted by this work, which I was stunned by, people who I've never met or have heard of before, like were coming up telling me how a lot of these things that we've been doing together on webinars, et cetera, have been helping their patients and them. And it was awesome. And they are having conversations that aren't happening in typical doctor's offices. That's why we do this work. Steve is like, there are people suffering. I've suffered. I know their answers. I'm going to go find them because no one else is doing that. Or the small group of concerned citizens are finding them, but it's a small group. And so that's what we want to do, is to help you. If this appeals to you, you have a return policy, you have the 15% off, you have the free shipping over a certain threshold there. So give it a try and see what you think. We do have to cut it short a little bit today because I double booked myself. But yeah, Carla's saying everything Steve does is research backing. All his products have worked for me. Great. I also have a closet full of supplements. Yeah, we're searchers, right? We're seekers. I don't know anyone who has a bigger graveyard of supplements than Stephen Wright. Maybe me, but his, I know, is like really big. Mona, that's so right. Thanks for this webinar. Oh, good. Yeah. And you know what, Carla, maybe some of those supplements, if they were good from another company, they may not be working for you last year or last month, but they may be there perfect for you in the future. Follow your intuition. Like go, oh, I just read an article about this. Hey, I've got that in my closet. I'm pointing to mine. Like, I'm not saying throw them out. And I also think there's a balance to when you purge, and right, like you do like the feng shui sweep of like, I don't even remember what this is. I've actually thrown certain things out when I couldn't remember what it was. quick Google search, determine whether or not it's worth keeping. Oh yeah, I remember now. I read that study. Like use your wisdom, right? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to wrap up here a little bit, Laura, as far as like a functional test that'll tell you your GABA levels, you can do organic acids tests from some companies that will give you approximation to your GABA levels. But again, a symptom checklist for low GABA is probably as correlated to those levels as some of these tests are, and that's just the unfortunate truth. And to what Shivan just said, don't put me on a pedestal. Don't put
Yeah.
Shivan on a pedestal. I'm
Please
going through
don't.
a really intense time right now with a remodel that is not going to plan. And I started having mid back and rib pain like 10 weeks ago. So bad that I couldn't sleep. It was really bad. And I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? I must have tweaked it in the gym. I couldn't, but like I had all these things like, how did I get hit and not know it? I went and saw body workers. I went and saw chiropractors, and they're like, I mean, you're a little tight, you're a little, this or that, but those things just wouldn't stick. And the truth was, it was just stress related to the fact that we had to fire a contractor and we had to deal with a situation that was really intense. And I totally blanked. I totally blanked on upping my BeSerene dosage. I totally blanked on using more BeSerene IR. It didn't cross my mind that this pain
Right.
in my rib, in the back of my ribs, was like psychosomatic and stress related. Because, clearly it was functional.
Right. But did you feel like stabbed in the back by your contractor? Like,
I mean, kind of, I
yeah.
suppose.
Yeah.
I never thought about it that way. Uh, but yeah, and anyways, that's why I'm doing BeSerene three pills a day. I'm doing magnesium HP four per day. I'm using the IR if things get a little intense. But just figuring that out almost made the pain go away immediately.
Seriously. I mean, you all look, I hope you do try this because it really has helped me. And I really do wish, like, I remember the very first time I saw Stephen talk about it. And I was like, oh, I love that it was a cream. And I'm just mad at myself for not doing it sooner because it really does help. I put mine on right before I go to bed. And it helps me so much with the brain racing, the lists, I tend to have these like pods. I call them pods. Like I'm on a UFO, and the pods go out to the border and monitor them like little soldiers, and then they come and report back. And what happens for me is that they go, if they go at all. Sometimes they don't go, but if they go, they come back and it's like, it's fine, it's no big deal. And then like they don't need to keep going back out in this like weird hypervigilance before I go to sleep, or waking up in the middle of the night and like, did the pods come back? I mean, these are the words I'm using to describe it. When I'm in this state, I'm not going, pods, are you there? No, it's much more of that,
But yeah, so and this is why the BeSerene IR product has been so helpful for so many people. It's not because Shivan doesn't know breathing techniques or meditation
yeah,
techniques
exactly.
or
Yeah.
self-calming, self-soothing techniques. It's not because I don't know them. I'm sitting there doing the techniques, and my mind will not let go and just release the day. And that's where the BeSerene IR cream is like nothing I've ever experienced before.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be thinking you're somehow broken or wrong if you need a crutch from time to time.
Yeah. It's a tool. Totally, really, Laura. It's a tool. I'm not walking to the grocery store. I'm going to get in my vehicle and drive because I'm blessed to have a car and gas. So it's a tool. And it's, you got to find out what's right for you. I'm going to wrap things up. So for waking up stress in the middle of the night, I found 3 to 4 pumps is needed. Carla is saying, okay, great. If you all have, if this appeals to you, we'd love to have you give it a try. Stephen, if someone wants to buy something else on the site, how do they do that with a discount? I'm going to ask a very basic question. Do you remember? Because go to sibosos.com in the shop, and it's all outlined for you there, the proper code and all links, etc.
Yep.
You just did, and it works. Okay, great. Okay, great. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Mwah, mwah, mwah. This one was short and sweet. I appreciate you all so much. And Stephen, I'm going to see you in less than 2 weeks in person in Arizona. I can't wait.
We will. Yes. See you soon. And
okay.
Hit me up about your husband if you need it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Taylor, good to see you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks. All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Grab it. You'll be glad you did. I really feel that way. All right. Obviously. Talk to you next time. Ooh. Hey, Nelson, last thing. If you have low cortisol in the morning, is the cream still okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Give it a try. Experiment, everybody. All right. Peace out. Thanks for joining us. I know you're busy. It means a lot. Thanks.